From the depths of the vault, this is Eerie's Vault Live, your number one stream for the uncanny, the weird, and the unexplained. Good evening, everybody, and welcome, or indeed good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are, and welcome to the show. This is Eerie's Vault Live, and I am your host, Lehan Eerie. We'll be opening up the phone lines in a little while. You know how it works. So if you want to be on the show, I'll tell you how to do that in just a few moments. But as always, let's begin with a shout out to my patrons. Yes, so we have Mr. E, Darren Jump, Steadbot, John Diver, David Morris, Ian Lewis, Ramona Craighill, Stu Graham, Brian Henderson, Jerry Shelton, Ryan, Gaynor Smith, John Douglas, Bizjdish 143, Baby with a Laser, Rudolph Hooker, Paul Redruth, Pill Collins, Greg Russell, Iron Bug, Vincent Hegeland, Ben Hurl, Emu Cat, Adam Mitchell, Ginger Ninja, Farson's Finest, Keith Say, Aaron Osborne, Melv, Heathermond Jones, Todd Van Voris, Chris Slee, Andrew Dewey, Gregory, Catman, Natalie Leach, Amanda McNeil, Pamela Peffer, Buster Piles, Sawboss, Baroque Lobster, E.J. Osborne, Zach T, and Craig McClellan. Thank you all for supporting the Patreon. I wonder if you've seen tonight's Patreon post that I put up just a few moments ago, actually. A video submission by a chap from Denver with some unusual looking objects in the sky. Be nice to get your thoughts over on the Patreon. And just for anybody who hasn't joined it yet, there is a free option if you really want to join the Patreon. There is a free option as well, and not a lot of people know that. Not a right lot of people know that, do they? Who have we got in the chat? Let's take a look. The poll is obscuring some of the names, so let's try and scroll down. We have Liz, says, hi Eerie and everyone, best night of the week. Yes, not only is it Friday, but it's our day too, isn't it? Welcome, Liz. Tools for Rails says, hello everyone. I hope you had a wonderful week. Well, it's getting better. It's getting better now, let's say, shall we? Yes. It's getting better at this moment. Ron is with us. Hello, Ron. Paul as well. Welcome, Paul. William Kane says, good evening, and I say good evening right back to you. Darren is with us. Hello, Darren, and good evening. Welcome to you. David's with us. David Williams. Let's go. Yes, correct. Ikuzo, as they would say in yon Japan. Yes, indeed. Patriot 8769. Evening all. Good evening to you. Theme Queen is with us. Hello, Theme Queen. Welcome. Stephen Truthseeker. Hello, Stephen. The Divine Mr. M5832 says, Heidi hi, campers. Yes, quite. I should get one of those little xylophones, shouldn't I? Bing, bang, bong. This is Eerie's Vault Live. Doesn't quite have the atmosphere, does it? But, you know, it would be fun. Aching Plums, how do one and all? Yes, how do to Aching Plums. And Buster Piles is here. Back, I see, from another assignment. Welcome, sir. Sheppy, Evening Vaultsters. Yes, good evening to you, Sheppy. Oh, Farson's Finest is here as well. I have returned from my exile of plague. Congratulations, we're all glad you're well. Welcome to the show. Who else do we have? Raymond. Hello, Raymond. Just dropped into my feed, so thought I'd give it a try. Well, welcome. I certainly hope you enjoy the show. If you are new to the show, we have a little segment called Eerie News, just to really give people enough time to get online and join the show so that we don't immediately jump into calls, but then we will open the phone lines and some telephone numbers will be given out which you can use to call in to the show. That's how it works. Steve Field, hello Steve, welcome to the show. Jan, hi Jan. Yes, welcome everybody. I am glad you are all here. Welcome to the show. And, let's do what I said we were going to do then and have a bit of eerie news. This from theconservation.com, and it sort of ties in a little bit to what we were talking about with Steadbot last week. This is titled, Why Our Physical Bodies May Be a Core Part of Conscious Experience. New research, it says. And the article goes on to say, most of us go through the day without thinking much about our bodies. Well, you speak for yourself. Covered in arthritis, that's not good. Anyway, until something goes wrong. Yes, well, I agree with you now. Yet beneath that apparent simplicity lies a remarkable achievement. The brain must constantly knit together sights, touches, and signals from muscles and joints into a coherent sense of this body is mine. Psychologists and neuroscientists call this body ownership. Good name. It is a key part of self-consciousness, the feeling of being a self-located in a particular body, separate from the world around you. It's partly what makes us different to AI, the article says. Only partly, is it? I see. For decades, theories have proposed that a lot of this bodily processing happens outside of actual awareness. It is a kind of unconscious process that quietly guides our movements while consciousness focuses on other things. Well, I can certainly vouch, having been out in public several times this week, that there are certainly a lot of unconscious people wandering around. Yes, most experiments on consciousness have used flashes of light or sounds, asking when and how these external stimuli reach awareness. Surprisingly, very little work has directly tested how conscious awareness relates to the bodily self. To investigate this, researchers have used a modern version of the famous rubber hand illusion. In this illusion, a participant's real hand is hidden from view while a lifelike rubber hand is placed in front of them. If both hands are stroked in synchrony, most people begin to feel that the rubber hand is, strangely, part of their own body. Ooh, that sounds strange, doesn't it? On every trial, one rubber hand was tapped in perfect synchrony with the real hand, and the other was tapped with a slight delay, from 18 to 150 milliseconds. After a short sequence of taps, people had to choose which rubber hand felt more like their own. They then related how clear that feeling was. If a lot of body ownership processing happens unconsciously, we might expect people to be more likely to pick the correct rubber hand, even when they report only a vague, unclear feeling of ownership. But this is not what we found. As they increased the lack of synchrony between the real and fake hands, people became better at picking the correct hand. Their awareness improved in lockstep. Taken together, these findings point to a simple but powerful conclusion. For body ownership, consciousness seems to have continuous, privileged access to external stimuli information. Well, I probably could have told them that. I don't know how groundbreaking that is, do you? I'm not quite sure. Not at all. How about this from popularmechanics.com? The dogs of Chernobyl are experiencing rapid evolution, study suggests. Have the canines acquired strange mutations living near the power plant? On April the 26th, 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear reactor in northern Ukraine, then part of the Soviet Union, exploded, sending a massive plume of radiation into the sky. Nearly 4 decades later, the Chernobyl power plant and many parts of the surrounding area remain uninhabited, by humans at least. Animals of all kinds have thrived in humanity's absence. Living among radiation-resistant fauna are thousands of feral dogs, many of whom are descendants of pets left behind in the speedy evacuation of the area. As the world's greatest nuclear disaster approaches its 40th anniversary, biologists are now taking a closer look at the animals located inside the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Now, I didn't appreciate the size of this, but it's apparently the size of Yosemite National Park, so it's no small area at all. They're looking at how decades of radiation exposure may have altered animals' genomes and even possibly sped up evolution. Scientists from the University of South Carolina and the National Human Genome Research Institute have begun examining the DNA of 302 feral dogs found in or around the exclusion zone to better understand how radiation might have altered their genomes. I wonder why 302 and not just a nice round 300. Their results were published in the Science Advances journal. Do they have mutations that they've acquired that allow them to live and breed successfully in this region? Co-author Elaine Ostrander, a dog genomics expert, told the New York Times what challenges do they face and how have they coped genetically. Scientists have been analysing certain animals for years, including bacteria and rodents and even birds. One study back in 2016 found that eastern tree frogs, which are usually a green colour, were more commonly black within the exclusion zone. The biologists theorise that the frogs experienced a beneficial mutation in melanin pigments responsible for skin colour that helped to dissipate and neutralise some of the surrounding radiation. So, of course, the scientists wonder, could the same sort of thing be happening with the dogs? However, one environmental scientist speaking with Science News says that these studies can be a tricky business, largely due to the fact that sussing out radiation-induced mutations from other effects, such as inbreeding, is incredibly difficult. Yes, I imagine it is. To establish a baseline for comparison, the team compared the genome of Chernobyl city dogs located 10 miles from the CEZ to dogs found in regions of Russia, Poland, and other nearby countries. Once they determined that the populations were genetically similar, they then used the Chernobyl city dogs as a representative control for their study. Of course, that wasn't a simple task. More than a couple of dozen dog generations have passed since the original pups that witnessed to the 1986 meltdown. Whilst this dog population is at 30 or more generations removed from the one present during the 86 disaster, mutations would still likely be detectable if they conferred a survival advantage to those original dogs. Makes sense, doesn't it? But we didn't find any such evidence in these dogs. So, Popular Mechanics, the dogs of Chernobyl are experiencing rapid evolution, study suggests, headline, ends with the phrase, no such evidence was found. Thank you, Popular Mechanics. SciTech Daily says that Mars was once a tropical oasis, according to a new study. Small pale spots on the reddish-orange landscape of Mars have turned out to be a new clue that parts of the planet may have once hosted wet, oasis-like environments with humid conditions and rainfall similar to tropical regions on Earth. NASA's Perseverance rover identified these features as white, aluminium-rich kaolinite clay. On Earth, this type of clay develops when long periods of heavy rain gradually remove other minerals from rocks and sediment, leaving behind the purified material. Details of the discovery were recently published in the scientific journal Communications, Earth and Environment. The study was led by Adrian Brose at Purdue University. He's a professor, a professor of planetary science in the Department of Earth, Atmospheric and Planetary Sciences. Of course, it would have to be, wouldn't you? Elsewhere on Mars, rocks like these are probably some of the most important outcrops we've seen from orbit because they are just had to form, he said. You need so much water that we think these could be evidence of an ancient, warmer and wetter climate where there was rain falling for millions of years. So when you see this stuff on a place like Mars, where it's barren and cold, and with certainly no liquid water at the surface at least, it tells us that there was once a lot more water there than there is today. And isn't that fascinating? Because, of course, a rainforest, gosh, how many species does the rainforest hold on Earth? Imagine a Martian rainforest. What on earth would lurk in a Martian rainforest? Let's get your opinions on that in the chat, shall we? These things clearly record an incredible water event, but where did they come from? Maybe they were washed into Jazero's lake by the river that formed the delta, or maybe they were thrown into Jezero, that's one of the craters I believe, by an impact, and they're just scattered there. They are not totally sure. Until they can actually visit the large outcroppings with the rover, the small rocks are the only on-the-ground evidence for how these rocks could have formed. And right now, the evidence in these rocks points towards the wetter, ancient environment. Imagine a Martian rainforest. Can you imagine that? Dear me. Imagine if the Mokele-mbembe lives in the rainforest. A dinosaur, which I've been thinking a lot about recently. If that thing could possibly live in, where's that? The Amazon, is it? What would a Martian rainforest give us? There's some speculative zoology for you. Imagine that. It'd be good to see some pictures. It's a shame you can't put pictures in the chat, isn't it? Tell you what you can do. The email address will go out soon. If anybody's a dab hand with a pad and pencil, you could draw what you believe a Martian rainforest might look like, and we can show it on the stream later. And here's the last one from Earth.com. A strange new creature with 24 eyes has been discovered in a Hong Kong pond. Yes, at a shrimp pond in Mai Po Nature Reserve in Hong Kong, researchers have found a new species of Tripodalia jellyfish. The animal is only about a half an inch long, which makes it hard to spot in murky pond water. This discovery adds a fourth described member to the family, another Latin word for me, Tripodalidae, something or other. Tripodalidae, looks like. A small group of closely related box jellyfish. These creatures, as a whole, comprise a small group with only 49 species known. This thing's got 24 eyes. I was immediately put in mind of the fish on The Simpsons that lives in the nuclear reactor water with all those eyes. Apparently, it has a clear, nearly colourless bell. Just wait for Buster to comment on that one. With a rounded cube shape. Its bell apparently reaches about 6/10 of an inch from top to bottom. Well, hello, big boy. Which keeps the animal small enough to hide among plant stems. At the corner of this jellyfish, 3 flattened sort of pads anchor the tentacles, that's tentacles, extending outward to help push water as the animal swims around. Yes, the bell squeezes and relaxes, apparently, which then uses this focused thrust to swim more quickly than has Buster written this and planted it in my news items. Is that where you were last week? Infiltrating Eerie Towers and putting this innuendo stuff? I don't know. Yes, it's got 24 eyes. There we go. So, 24 eyes are arranged in 4 clusters on structures called ropalia, a sensory sort of club that holds each cluster of eyes. Each cluster, 2 larger lens eyes, image-forming eyes with small lenses, handle most of the detailed vision, and the remaining 4 pit and slit eyes are simpler organs that basically track dark and light rather than shapes. I can't imagine the benefit of having 24 eyes. How on earth would you What would your spectacles look like? That's what I want to know. The eyes constantly point toward the world above the water, giving the animal enough guidance visually to steer around roots and other obstacles. So, I mean, a spider has 8 eyes, doesn't it? What else has got lots of eyes? Potatoes. They have lots of eyes, don't they? What else has got lots of eyes? Yes, the Mississippi. There's a lot of eyes in that. Yes. But apparently it's got no brain, this jellyfish. And all of its learning behavior, you know, that hints at surprising mental abilities, is essentially reactive rather than learned. They can change how they swim after bumping into things, but with 24 eyes, they're unable to actually see the thing they just bumped into. Perhaps some of those 24 eyes could have been facing forwards. That might have been a rather more useful evolutionary thing, mightn't it? Yes. Let's take a look at what the chat is saying now that I've gone all X-rated. Here we are. Where are we? Yes. On his Manatee's Secret Service, says Buster Piles. Quite. Where did we get to? Everybody's saying good evening. Have we got anybody new that I've missed? From a Twisted Mind. Hello there, From a Twisted Mind. Welcome. Now, have you tried to send me something on WhatsApp? Because the messages disappear after 24 hours, and I think it looked like you might have tried to send something. So I apologize for not responding. By the time I've got to check it, which is today, it's gone. So my apologies. Peregrina, welcome, welcome, welcome. Mosquito ergo hum, indeed. That's quite right. And who else do we have here? Patriot. Oh, I've said hello. Hello, Patriot, again. Why not? I can say hello to people, can't I? More than once if I want to. Transiting photometry from the James Webb Space Telescope. We're able to rule out certain types of atmosphere, but couldn't rule out an nitrogen-based atmosphere like Earth's. This must be referring back to Mars. More data is required. Allegedly, there are still dinosaurs in the Congo, says From a Twisted Mind. Do you know, it's funny that we've got onto that, because that's something I'd like to talk about tonight, a little bit later, if we don't have any calls, even if we do have calls, but we'll get to the calls soon. I don't know if they do drink umbongo in the Congo anymore. I haven't seen documentary evidence of that for quite a while, actually. One species of jellyfish is almost immortal, says Buster. I saw somewhere, where on earth was I? On one of my travels, and my wife and I were walking along the sort of shaly beach. I think it might have been down in Wales when we, believe it or not, ages ago. I mean, God, that must have been April or something, or May, where we went to film the location stuff for, gosh, the Ripperston Farm encounter. And whilst we were down there, we were walking along a shaly beach, and I spotted what looked like some sort of plastic dome on the beach. But I had a sense that it was a living creature. And of course, me being Mr. Eerie, I thought, "Ooh, is it an alien that's landed?" And so, of course, off I went to have a look, and it was the most enormous barrel eye jellyfish, is it, or just a barrel jellyfish? It was enormous, and it looked absolutely fake. It looked completely fabricated, like it had been made out of some sort of, well, jelly, frankly, which it would be, wouldn't it? But, you know, it was enormous. It was dead, of course. But gosh, it was enormous, and I couldn't believe how big it was, you know. I've seen jellyfish before, but not that big. Hello, Cat's Life. Welcome to the show. That's a new name, isn't it? I hope you enjoy the show tonight. And Dogman Central. Hello to you too. Gosh, Dogman, that's a terrifying thing, isn't it? Dogman. Don't hear much of that in England, but by gosh, in America we do. Yes, plenty of it. What flavour jelly? I didn't taste it or lick it or anything like that. I felt it probably wasn't the thing to do. A lion's mane jellyfish. Now, they are enormous. They are enormous, you know. And that's about sea creatures, isn't it? Sea creatures can become incredibly huge. Gigantic, in fact. I mean, look at whales, of course. Sharks, all of that thing. But doesn't that just make you think, if in dinosaur times, let's say, I don't know which dinosaur, Pleistocene, Cretaceous, Triassic, Jurassic, any of those, I don't know which one it would have been, but if there were such gigantic apex predators as, I don't know, Megalodon gets thrown around, doesn't it? But there were others, you know, other swimming monsters. If they were such apex predators and so enormous, why are they not still around? Surely they must still be around. Why would something like that, which is virtually, well, must have been virtually a perfect predator, why would something like that become extinct? If it was at the top of its game, I know, environmental aspects, all that kind of thing, you know, chemistry of the sea may have changed, etc., but goodness me, wouldn't you think there'd still be an enormous sea monster to be found? One would hope so, wouldn't one? To take part in tonight's show, there are a number of options. You can send a message on WhatsApp, giving a brief outline of what it is you want to discuss, and then wait for my call back. Alternatively, for UK residents, you can call direct on 0141 673 3743 to join the call queue and get through to the live show. And for listeners in the US, you can also call on 929 673 3743. That's 929 Mr. Eerie. That's a New York City number. And if you're too shy to call, then you can always email eeriesvault@gmail.com with your story or your theory, whatever it is you want to talk about, and I can read it out for you on air instead. Remember, this is your show, and I am waiting for your call. Strange encounters, theories about the paranormal, questions about some of the cases I've covered on the channel, whatever it is, as long as it's weird, I want to hear it. Call now to be on Eerie's Vault Live. This is Eerie's Vault Live, and I am your host, Leon Eerie, and this is your number one stream for the weird, the strange, and the unexplained. Lots of activity in the poll tonight, so Mbembe, real dinosaur or not? 28% of you have said yes. 13% of you have flatly said no. 34% of you have said I hope so, but probably not. And 26% of you have said the what? Yes, the Mbembe, the supposed sauropod dinosaur that lives in the Congo, I believe, or is said to live in the Congo. Mr. Bill Gibbons does a heck of a lot of research into that. So did Roy Mackle and various other researchers. And I would like to think it's real. So here's the rules of the road for tonight. If you want to be on the show, the numbers are on screen now, as usual, and you can email if you would rather not be on air. That's fine. The only a couple of rules, really. No bad language, please, if you can help it. No politics or hatred, you know. This is paranormal mystery that we want to talk about, not today's modern madness. By participating in a call, you are, of course, consenting to being broadcast live on air. Naturally, it's a show, isn't it? So I guess the takeaway is just don't say anything that you wouldn't want on YouTube forever. And don't forget, last week it was a marvelous show, wasn't it? Don't forget that you make the show It is your knowledge, it's your experience and your opinions that make this show so interesting, not only for myself, but for everybody out there listening, many of whom will have had similar experiences to you in their lifetime. So, there's the numbers on scrolling across the screen now. For UK people, it's 0141 673 3743. That's 0141 673 3743. If you're in the US, you can dial a New York number, which is 929 Mr. Eerie. That's 929-673-3743, 929 Mr. Eerie. And, of course, if you're outside of New York City, it's 1-929 Mr. Eerie. For people outside of the UK and outside of the US, and people who just want to use it, frankly, there is also the WhatsApp option, which is 07903 775 899. That's 07903 775 899. That's how to take part. And I want to talk McKellian-Bemby today. I want to talk Dogman. I want to talk Bigfoot encounters. If you've had a Bigfoot encounter, I'm sure I've just seen somewhere in the chat. Raymond, here's a call straight away. Is this going to be Raymond? Let's find out. Let me switch to the appropriate screen so you can hear it. Good evening. You're on Eerie's Vault Live.
Hello, it's Eerie. It's Ian Parkin here again.
Hello again, Ian. Thank you, by the way, for sending me that email address. Thank you.
Oh, that's fine. No problem. I hope good luck with it.
So do I.
Works. Yeah. Right. Yes. Now, a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about ghosts on the stairs, and
yes.
I have a tale about that from an experience that I had.
Jolly good. Let's hear it.
But I put ghosts in quotes because which will become the reason why will become noticeable later.
Okay.
But anyway, so it's Ghost on the Stairs. This would be circa 1984 when I was living in London. My flat was on Munster Road in Fulham, and I had recently bought a new light bulb as a replacement for one which had failed. I placed the bulb in the holder of the lamp and then tested it. It seemed fine, so I left it on until bedtime. Then the next afternoon I was sat in the lounge area. I wasn't using the lamp as it was a light afternoon. Later I was sat reading and suddenly I saw a flash coming from said lamp. Coming over to it, it was now dark. Then after a few minutes the flash happened again. It seemed to emanate from the centre of the bulb. Intrigued, I checked and the lamp was unplugged. Taking the bulb out of the holder, I looked it over and couldn't find any reason for the flashing, which didn't occur whilst I was holding it. I put the bulb back into the holder and sat back down. And sure enough, after a few minutes, another flash. Now, this flash was an interesting shape, rather like a flattened lightning flash and reminiscent of the letter S. However, there was a difference. It wasn't coming from the bulb or lamp, but was a short distance outside it. And a couple of days later, I was returning from the bathroom. Now, to get to the bathroom, it was necessary to go along a short passage and go down 2 small steps. As I got to the steps on my return, I was about to use them when the flash from the lamp bulb appeared to my right-hand side. It moved a short way to the left and then moved in front of the steps and stopped. As I watched, it faded, and in its place a bulb-like shape appeared, which expanded to 2 or 3 times its size, and then within it appeared the head of what seemed to be an old man, which began to watch me.
Oh.
I sat down on the floor and watched back, and we looked at each other like this for what seemed to be like 5 minutes, approximately, after which the head and the dome started to fade and then disappeared. So,
an old An old man. Gosh.
Yes, an old man. Yeah. His face was quite wizened, as if he was quite old. Yeah.
And was
At least
he
100 or possibly more.
really? Was he inside the light, as it were, or was the light?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. The sort of sphere-like shape around him. He was inside that, and that was lit, and he was lit up with it.
Gosh. So
But the
I'm sorry.
yes,
Continue. No, I'm sorry. Continue. Yeah.
all right. Yeah. Well, he as it was lit up, and excuse me, and the shape, the light shape which I saw originally, looked very like the one from the bulb. It may not have been. I mean, I have no confirmation that it was, but it looked very like it. And yes, it never really made any other change of expression or anything. It merely just stared at me.
You don't think it was potentially aware of you? Maybe not. Then.
Possibly not. No, but it did seem to be sort of centered on me, rather than anywhere else.
Oh, I see. Right there. So almost. So the ghost in quotation marks then is because obviously ghost would suggest deceased person, wouldn't it? But this you're not sure.
Yes. No, I'm not sure whether it was actually a ghost as such or even a spirit, but it may have been something else, but exactly what, I don't know.
It sounds almost, I mean, I wasn't there, don't get me wrong, but of course, it sounds almost if he's enclosed in this light, it's peeking into another, well, often we say, another dimension, but it sounds frivolous, but you know what I mean, don't you? Yeah.
Yes, I know what you mean, yes, and like some sort of portal.
Yes, a bubble.
Something like that, something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, well, it could well have been, something like that, indeed.
And how did it feel, like, sort of afterwards? Of course, these years later, you could just retell the story, but how did it feel sort of immediately after that uncanniness?
Well, I think it probably had that same sort of feeling as I had with the others about the Oz factor. I mean, obviously I couldn't really tell if it actually was that, because I mean I was in the flat and I was on my own at the time, so I hadn't been outside or anything like that. And there's no one else there, so I couldn't really tell.
Sure.
But certainly you got that feeling that it's a bit hard to describe. It's like something has happened, but something out of the ordinary.
Yeah,
Something that sort of atmosphere.
Something perhaps even meaningful.
Oh yes, possibly so. Yeah, it could well be. See, I wondered if maybe it may have been one of my old relatives or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, did you recognise the face at all, or you said it was sort of one expression as well?
Yes, I didn't recognise it. No, not at all.
A very odd one, and it's as if the sparks from the light were sort of announcing its impending presence almost.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yes, certainly. I think that's true. It's sort of a message saying, "I'm going to visit you soon," or something like that.
Wow. And then you get the visit, and you sort of. Do you get anything from it? You often wonder, is there a purpose? Why have I been shown that?
Yes, indeed, yeah. But no, I didn't get anything. No, there was no message or anything like that. Nothing channeled or anything of that sort.
Just a chance thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, and it just appeared and looked at me for a while and then disappeared.
Yeah,
which was very strange.
Gosh,
I never saw anything since after it at all.
I wonder if
it all worked fine.
I wonder if in some other reality somewhere that the owner of that face is telling this same story, but you were the one that appeared to him.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's very possible. I suppose, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
If these other dimensions actually exist.
Yeah, who can say? And isn't that the beauty of it?
Well,
the wondering and the...
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely,
it is, yeah.
Wow.
Without a doubt.
It's a fabulous story.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was. It was quite an interesting experience.
I can well imagine. I can. So, chat people, what do we think of that one? There's a few opinions already in there. And
Yes, I can imagine.
yeah, thank you ever so much for the call. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for listening.
Oh, not at all.
Good
Yeah.
night.
Cheerio.
Night.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's that easy, you see. It really is that easy. What do we think to that then? So, a bit of a flash of light bulb, and then the sort of letter S appearing not within the light, but a little in front of the light, and then this face in the light appearing. And has anybody had that sort of a encounter? Because to me, that's an encounter that it just was. Some encounters are life-changing, you know, they change your outlook, they change your belief system, they some can be frightening, some can be warnings, and some just happen and that's it. And isn't that a strange one? Sheppy says, it sounds like an omen to me. An omen of what, I would imagine? Who can say? An omen to maybe go with LED bulbs, potentially. No, I'm joking, of course. The whole power went off for just a second the other night, but it could have been the weather. That was for Stephen, goodness me. Ghosts and light bulbs. Of course, it's a Hollywood thing, isn't it? That it's certainly in video games, actually, as well, of which I am a fan. That impending spiritual activity is often accompanied with flashing lights, electrical interference. Yes. Okay. Come on then, people. Let's have your calls, shall we? So, yes, we can talk ghost encounters. Have you ever... I think everybody almost in the entire world has had some sort of a ghost encounter or some kind of a unusual thing that has happened in a home. Sometimes when you were a child, sometimes throughout your life. I think everybody has probably encountered something like that. Certainly, I would love to hear from the chap in chat who's vanished now because the chat moves so very quickly. About your Bigfoot encounter. Goodness me, if you've had... Oh, Raymond, yes, my Wi-Fi's gone down and neither of the phones are working. When I get it sorted, I'll call in. Excellent. Yes, please do. That would be marvellous. I would love to hear that. Dogmen, Bigfoot, monsters, aliens, ghosts. I want to hear it all. And I'll tell you what you don't hear about a lot today. Do you remember the chupacabra, or the chupacabras, or however you want to pronounce that name? Where's it gone? Because in the great catalogue of mysterious creatures said to haunt the world, from the deep forests of the Pacific Northwest and Bigfoot, you know, and interestingly, I was watching a very, very good documentary today about Bigfoot on the old YouTube, and it was one of the old ones from, like, I don't know, it must have been, of course, the early 70s, very early 70s, I would imagine, looking at it. And it had Dr. John Napier on it, actually discussing his opinions on the thing. Interview with Roger Patterson was on there. And who else? Oh, gosh, Ivan Sanderson was on it as well, talking to John Napier. And it was such a civilized and interesting and just informative documentary, and I find myself really bemoaning the state of current television shows about Bigfoot and things like that, because they've become I don't want to say a mockery, but they've become a circus, haven't they? Really, an absolute circus. I'm at a loss to find anything that is actually factual and interesting on the topic really anymore. The same goes for YouTube as well. There's very little on there that is new, that isn't just nonsense, frankly, or over-analysis of things and jumping to conclusions on still images and what have you. So, yes, I was very interested in that. But back to it. So, yes, the Pacific Northwest is where I got to there. And, of course, Scotland, Loch Ness Monster. It's legendary, isn't it? But what about this chupacabra? Because unlike sort of these giant creatures, this is fairly modern. It's not like it's been there forever. Not sort of I don't know, it's not a superstition-based thing or folklore-based thing, as far as I know. It could well be, but as far as I know, it isn't. But in just a handful of years, it became really well known, and you just don't hear about it anymore. What's happened to it? It was described in many different forms, actually. One alien, one as a canine, actually. And I started to wonder, where did it come from and where did it go? Really, it vanished, didn't it? I think it began in Puerto Rico somewhere in the 90s, actually. It's not, well, I'm about to say it's not that long ago, but it is. If you think about it, some small farms in towns such as Orocovis, Morovis, and some other places that I can't remember now, but they began to report a pattern of livestock found dead with small puncture wounds. Very little sign of a struggle, therefore believed not to be predation as such, and a curious lack of any blood. Sheep dead in their pens, chickens left uneaten, rabbits found with neat, deliberate injuries, not lionhead rabbits, Farsons, just normal ones. The Spanish language press seized on this, of course, being the most arresting detail, calling it some sort of a vampire creature, a bloodsucker, as it were, or as it was called, El Chupacabras, which is the goat sucker. Chupa, meaning suck, I think. Do you remember what we in the UK would have called chupa chups? It's the same word, apparently. But then, in 95, a woman named Madeline Tolentino gave a very detailed description of a creature she claimed to have seen near her home. And she described it was about 3 to 4 feet tall, walking upright on 2 legs, with smooth, now get this, grey-green skin, and a row of spikes running from its head to its tail. It had large, sort of ovular eyes that wrapped around the head, pretty much like those of an insect or a grey alien, actually. Her testimony appeared in the newspaper El Vocero, and almost overnight it became the definitive image of the chupacabra. It was repeated on television, it was discussed in radio interviews, and across the Caribbean's rapidly growing tabloid press. It was famous, essentially. Within months, hundreds of sightings then were reported. Some mere glimpses, others full-blown sort of confrontations with the thing. Now, by the way, Twisted Mind, thank you. I've got the images now. Thank you very much. I shall just save them because they will vanish. Just a tip, if somebody's showing me images on WhatsApp, they do vanish after 24 hours, just to keep the feed clean and, so I don't have to keep catching up with things. So they just vanish after 24 hours. That's what happens. So really the best time to send things is literally during the show. So I've got yours though, John. Thank you. In the mid-90s, there was a wave, essentially, of sort of, I don't know, what would you call it? Collective anxiety, I suppose. In Orocovis, farmer Juan Rosario discovered 8 sheep dead, each with identical puncture wounds. The bodies appeared very sort of, well, untouched, really, as though killed not for food, but perhaps some other purpose. In Gurabo, a police officer reported seeing a small creature leap a fence with unnatural agility before disappearing into thick undergrowth. And in Morovis, one of the cases most frequently discussed at the time, a woman woke up to find almost 40 chickens dead inside her coop. That's chickens, not check-ins, sorry, bit of an accent issue there. They were all killed in a single night, with no disruption to the surrounding wires or structure, and no signs of a predator having forced its way in. Residents then organised night patrols, armed with torches and machetes and homemade traps. Some towns kept children indoors after dusk. It was not a joke, this thing. Local politicians addressed the matter publicly to calm fears, a testament to how deeply embedded this thing had become, and it was all just in a few weeks. The chupacabra had arrived, and it arrived not quietly but with a roar of media attention and widespread alarm. And by the late 90s, the story had travelled all the way through to Latin America, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Chile, Brazil, Argentina, each country with its own cultural fingerprint, as it were, reshaping the creature ever so slightly. In Mexico, it became like a winged gargoyle sort of hunter. In Chile, it was described as a spiky-backed lizard man. In Brazil, it was sometimes portrayed as more demonic than extraterrestrial, but the core thing was the same. It had become an international figure, a monster. But then something else happened. The Americans reinvented it. So, in about the early 2000s, the chupacabra jumped into the mainland United States, but the creature that appeared there was described as, well, hairless grey animals, but they were canine in shape. They were stiffly animated, their skin stretched and sort of thick. They did capture some of these on videos. Others were shot by farmers who believed they were, protecting their livestock, etc. In Elmendorf in Texas in 2004, David McAnally killed a strange creature with a long snout, oversized canine teeth, and no fur at all. Its appearance was unlike any healthy coyote, and photographs circulated widely under a familiar headline, Chupacabra Found. You may remember this image at the time. 3 years later, Phyllis Canyon recovered the body of another hairless creature, and this one too became an absolute media sensation. However, they were confirmed to be coyotes suffering from sarcoptic mange, a disease that strips away fur and sort of deforms the skin and can change posture. But by then, the image had stuck. For many Americans, the chupacabra was no longer a spiky-backed alien creature, but a gaunt, staggering canine predator, a diseased survivor of the wild, if you will. So the creature existed under different images and was also referred to as the Puerto Rican alien and the Texan blue dog. As the legend evolved, so did the number of hoaxes, because, of course, that's what happens, isn't it? And misunderstandings, of course. Taxidermists created grotesque chupacabra bodies from raccoons or stray dogs. Photos were altered and, mangy coyotes were shot and mistaken for something supernatural. Veterinary experts explained that animals appear bloodless after death because blood pools internally that creates the illusion of drainage. Predators often leave neat little puncture wounds. Insects remove tissue with startling efficiency. None of these explanations dampened the hysteria, though. But gradually, decade by decade, the legend began to shift from a living fear to a sort of cultural artifact. It didn't get seen as much, and it wasn't reported as much. And now, well, again, where's it gone? Most DNA testing came back as coyote, dog, or raccoon, all afflicted with mange, by the way. And whatever happened in that original window, whether it was misidentifications or, the good old mass panic, whatever, it didn't really come back with the same intensity. And then, internet folklore, and it really was the internet that was driving it, to be fair. Internet folklore moved on. I mean, soon, for goodness sake, the Slender Man appeared. You know, the back rooms appeared, if you're aware of what they are, sort of crawler humanoids. And, it became skinwalkers, didn't it, rather than this chupacabra sort of thing. So it's sort of not forgotten, as it were, but it's not, well, how would you put it? I suppose you'd say it's not in fashion, is it, anymore? Whereas Nessie and Bigfoot, and the Yeti, and, even Mokele and Bembe, and things that have a long-lasting, what's the thing, longevity. The chupacabra seem to somehow hit the high time and then vanish, and just born in the 90s and off it went, and then that was it. So it's not really a question of what it is, but how it came to be, if you know what I mean. Was it literally just born from sightings and rumours and imagination, or was something actually in existence that was the chupacabra? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, if anybody wants to chat about that one. Buster says he's seen the footage of the mangy naked coyote. It certainly was unusual looking, wasn't it? Yes, I can see what they mean about it being sort of blue as well. Yes, Steadbot, liminal spaces indeed. So this refers to the back rooms, which again is subject of video games as well, actually, now. And this is that you can clip, as they call it, through reality into this other dimension, essentially, which is known as the back rooms. And it's full of liminal spaces, full of corridors and gently humming neon yellow lights and terrible wallpaper and endless walking around and some beasts in there. It's internet, it's what they call creepypasta, isn't it? But yeah, I often wonder about that chupacabra. Where is he? What's he up to? Does he still suck goats? I mean, there are questions that need to be answered, aren't there? Let's be fair. It's the top of the hour. We're going to take a break. Psych yourselves up, chaps and chapesses. Come on. Psych yourselves up. Give us a call. Don't forget, it can be something that's happened to you, something that's happened to somebody else. It can just be a theory, like we did last week with Steadbot. Just be a theory that you want to talk about and discuss. You can have an opinion on spooky things, not a problem. You can just give us a bell. It's nice and easy. Here's a quick break. Get yourselves psyched up and ready. YouTube show is only a part of the vault. Beyond the broadcast is the archive. And at eeriesvault.com you'll find our growing library of case files, first-hand accounts of the unexplained, written reports from people who lived through something strange. And we need yours. If you've carried a story for years, if you've never had the chance to put it into words, and this is where it belongs. Your report will stand alongside others, building a record that may one day help us see patterns that we cannot see alone. And it's easy. Go to eeriesvault.com, open the Case Files page, and hit the Submit a Case button. Fill in the details and send it on its way. Because strange events pass quickly into silence unless someone records them. Don't let your story vanish. Put it in the vault. To take part in tonight's show, there are a number of options. You can send a message on WhatsApp, giving a brief outline of what it is you want to discuss, and then wait for my call back. Alternatively, for UK residents, you can call direct on 0141 673 3743 to join the call queue and get through to the live show. And for listeners in the US, you can also call on 929-673-3743. That's 929 Mr. Eerie. That's a New York City number. And if you're too shy to call, then you can always email eeriesvault@gmail.com with your story or your theory, whatever it is you want to talk about, and I can read it out for you on air instead. Remember, this is your show, and I am waiting for your call. Strange encounters, theories about the paranormal, questions about some of the cases I've covered on the channel, whatever it is, as long as it's weird. I want to hear it. Call now to be on Eerie's Vault Live. This is Eerie's Vault Live, and I am your host, Leon Eerie, and this is your number one stream for the weird, the strange, and the unexplained. That's right, your number one stream, of course, for the unexplained. Is it unexplained why it's number one? Of course not. It's number one because of you guys, isn't it? Of course it is. So, Dingley Dell, stand by your beds, because we're about to call you about this black cloud you've encountered. Yes, let me switch to the appropriate. Goodness me, I've suddenly forgotten how everything works. There we go, Dingley Dell. Here's the call. Good evening, you're on Eerie's Vault Live again.
Good evening, Mr. E.
Evening, how are you? Oh, that's me. You may have to extinguish your device, as it were.
Sorry.
That's quite all right.
I was just putting a bit of wood on my log burner, actually, because it's getting low. But, yeah. Like I say, some people, I think, are more susceptible to, things going on around them.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned last week, you could probably tell from that tale I told about the golf club that I'm a golfer.
Mm.
And this cloud-related story, I had a good friend who passed away only recently. He used to book weekends away, golf weekends, very close to the area, I currently live.
Mm.
And he'd booked a weekend in York for about a dozen of us golfers, and we'd go down on the Friday, play a round of golf on the Friday afternoon, have a night out in York.
Yeah.
Play on the Saturday, have another night, and then come back on the Sunday. Anyway, like I say, this was about 10 years ago. We were in an area of York. I'm trying to remember what it was called now. Anyway, we were playing this municipal course. It'll come back to me, hopefully. I'll tell you which area it was. It was the same area where that that unfortunate chef Claudia Lawrence disappeared. She disappeared from there a few years earlier.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure I remember that, but yeah.
Yeah, it got a lot of press, and I don't think she's ever, they've ever got to the bottom of that one. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, we're in this part of York, and the only place we could get booked for a game of golf on the Saturday was this municipal course. We were playing on it was a hot summer's day again, quite a clear sky. And we were 3/4 of the way around the golf course, and I was playing in a 4-ball with 3 other guys. And we got to the 17th. We got to the 17th, and I looked up, and there was this really small, black, very dark cloud in a blue sky. So straight away it looked
out of place, right? Yeah.
Yeah, very much out of place. And I thought, that looks strange. Because I was looking to see if it had broke off a larger sort of bank of dark cloud, but it hadn't. Anyway, we got to the 18th tee, and then I looked up and I noticed there was 2 objects flying above the cloud as if they were coming out and going back in, and coming out and going back in. And at first I thought they were just seagulls or something like that, So I said to the guys I was playing with, I said, "Look at that there," and they said, "Oh yeah, that's a bit strange. Just looks a bit out of the ordinary." But I always find when I see something like that, I'm interested in it, and other people always seem to, seem to be a bit standoffish. Anyway, we sort of started to walk down the hole after teeing off the 18th. Which headed back towards the golf club.
Okay.
And this cloud was virtually above us at this point. And it, like I say, it wasn't a big cloud. It was just a smallish cloud, but it was quite high up. And I could start to see these 2 things a bit clearer. So when I looked, they looked like 2 very small discs. And I thought, are they birds? No, they're not. They're discs. And it's as if they were being sort of risky, like sort of cheeky, popping out and then coming back in.
Okay. It's intelligence behind them then.
Into the cloud, yeah. It just seemed very strange. And anyway, this cloud passed and we got back to the 18th, and I'd borrowed a trolley from the golf club because I didn't have one. And I was putting this trolley away, and never thought much about it. And when we got back in the golf club, everybody said, "Where have you been? You've been ages. Have you been sort of down into the city or something like that?" And I thought, well, I haven't been that long. I'm just putting this trolley in. And I thought, And then afterwards you think, I hope it wasn't a missing time sort of issue or something like that.
Yeah.
You start to get really, curious about what's happened. But that was a strange thing, and you know how they talk about coincidences. I'm going to look up this part of York where it was. If you give me a second.
Heworth or something like that.
It was Heworth. That was it.
Yeah.
How did you know that was Heworth?
Google.
Yeah. Brilliant. Anyway, it was Heworth, and my eldest son, ended up going to university in York, and he said, "Oh, I'm not going to stay in the digs at the university. I'll try and find somewhere else. The halls of residence or something."
Oh,
like
yeah.
Anyway, a few years later, he said, "Oh, I found this place." He said, "This semi." He said, "There's 4 of us going to share this semi in Heworth." I thought, oh, that's coincidental.
Yes.
But I've found that I don't know if you've come across many instances of that, of coincidences as well. You talk about a place, or you've been to a place, and then you talk to somebody and they say, "Oh, you know, they mention the same place or village
Yeah. They
or
call it
whatever. That's
they call it
coincidental.
It's call it synchronicity, I think, in spooky circles, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And it's funny because recently I was talking to somebody a few years ago, quite a few years ago. I'd stayed in a little village. I'll not name it. It was just outside of Skipton.
Uh-huh.
Little tiny place with maybe a population of about 50, 60 people. And I'd stayed in this B&B with a family. And I was talking to this guy a few weeks back, and he said, "Oh," I said, "Where have you been?" He said, "Oh, I've just been to Skipton for a weekend." And I said, "What, you stayed in Skipton itself?" He said, "No, in this little village outside." And I thought, "Oh, don't tell me it's." And as soon as I mentioned it, he said, "Yeah, that's the place." I thought,
Again, yeah.
anyway, you know, just daft little things like that. But another strange situation I had on a golf course was my own golf course, which is right on the coast in the northeast.
Mm.
And I was playing, me and my friend were playing this knockout against a couple of other guys, and it was sort of 9 o'clock on a summer's night. And we looked out, and there was this little small cloud in the sea, because the course is right on the edge of the cliffs of the sea.
Uh-huh.
And there was this small cloud just there, hanging there, doing nothing. But it was a cloud just above the sea, actually the water. You know, it wasn't high in the sky.
Oh,
It
I
was just
see.
a low
Yeah.
cloud, very small. And then all of a sudden, this like Chinook came out of it, unmarked Chinook, and flew really low over the golf course inland. And I thought, we all turned around and looked and thought, "Oh, that was strange," because it was so low.
Yeah, it came out of the cloud then, did it?
It came out of the cloud, and I thought, "What's that all about?" I
Yeah.
thought, is it the SAS on maneuvers or something, or on, you know, some sort of practice thing, or they've got some technique where they produce something like that so they can, you know, not be seen when they. I mean, I might be.
Yeah.
I don't want to be touching on any Ministry of Defence secrets here, but it was just really, really strange. There was just this small sort of cloud, sort of fog bank, and then this Chinook helicopter just came out of it and flew virtually right over the top of us. I mean, it was really low.
Mm.
And that was another strange encounter for, well, a strange sight, to put it another way.
Certainly
Yeah,
sounds.
Hewitt was the place, though, in York.
So this was the place with the little sort of disc-like. Do you think the way you tell the story, it seems like they might have been being controlled by something?
Well, you think afterwards, you know, when I thought about it afterwards, you think, is it some sort of cover for a craft? You know, they've created this small cloud. I mean, you know, it might sound ridiculous to some people, but it was just these two discs. When I looked more intently at it, they weren't birds. They were definitely discs, but they were only small discs, I would say, even though they were quite high up. You know, they could have been sort of, I don't know, scouts from a mothership or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like there was. It's your sense of intelligence behind them, not just blobs of vapor, as it were.
No. They were clearly, to me, they looked like metallic discs. You know?
Metallic. Did they make any noise?
No. They were too high up, and if they were, I couldn't hear them.
Yeah.
But they weren't. You know, they weren't sort of 30,000 feet up. They were, you know, really, you know.
Yeah, you could see them. Put it that way.
Yeah. But the cloud was very, very dark and looked ludicrous. It just looked out of place.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
And of course, I'd gone for my phone in my bag where I normally put it, and I'd left it in the car, thinking, "Oh, I'll see if I can get a picture."
Oh, damn! Yeah.
But in saying that, I must be honest, my phone was not of the quality to maybe pick something up of any quality.
Yeah. It would have just been another inconclusive image, I guess. Yeah.
It would have just been a fuzzy bit of nothing, probably. You know,
it's never the same, is it?
But yeah, that was a strange one. And I did mention it to when we got back in the golf club, some of the members were there from Heworth, and I said, "Did anybody see that? That cloud?" And a few said, "Oh yeah, we saw that." Blah blah blah. But I don't think they'd seen these two discs that I had.
Yeah.
Because I'd looked a bit more intently at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was very strange, and it was very out of the ordinary.
Uncanny, as it were. Yeah, but I don't know if you heard my story last week about the cloud that I saw during the sort of COVID period.
During the COVID, that's what reminded me of it, actually.
So I understand exactly what you mean by when it just doesn't look right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's right.
And there's golf courses. My theory is that golf courses themselves are hotbeds of weird activity.
Well, you're so out in the open, aren't you?
Yeah.
You can see so much in every direction, unless it's a tree-lined course, heavily tree-lined. But the courses around where I live are what's called links courses. So they're mainly sand and dunes. They don't have a lot of trees, so you can see in all directions.
Yeah. Plus, if you've got one close to the ocean, and we consider UFOs, or rather USOs, unidentified submersible objects, then, well, what a perfect storm, really, for seeing something.
Yeah. And even that episode with the Chinook was very strange. I mean, don't get me wrong; it could have just been the army, out on manoeuvres, sort of thing. But I've never seen them around here before. Or
and the synchronicity with the cloud because I mean, Chinooks are for deliveries, aren't they? And they carry jeeps and things, don't they? And they're not sort of fighters or stealthy things.
I'm saying is the Chinook the one that carries tanks and vehicles?
Yeah, the two propeller helicopter.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was one of those. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was one of those. That's right.
They're not exactly small, are they?
No, but it didn't have any markings on it.
That's weird. Yeah. Private contractors, maybe. Who knows? Weird. You might well have seen weird secret maneuvers there.
That's right.
Goodness me. Well, that's another one for the vault. Thank you very much, Dingley-Dell, for the call.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheerio.
Good night. Good luck.
Now, Cat's Life. I'm speaking to you, Cat's Life, because I love the Sandown Clown as well. It is my favourite, I think, weird story, most certainly. If you want to chat about that, you've got the numbers on screen. You could always call and give your opinions, or just chat about it if you want to. Yes, that's what this show is for, folks. So things coming out of clouds, and an unmarked Chinook, or as we used to call them, Fockers back in the day. That's what we used to call them. Unmarked Chinook emerging seemingly from a cloud near a golf course, near the ocean. What a perfect storm. Now, we've got several new people who've joined the chat, and I do like to say hello to people. So we've got Marinus Arnoldus, who says, who is in Perth, WA, Western Australia. Hello there, welcome to the show. Do you know I love Australia? I really do. I really enjoyed my visit to Australia when I went. I was at the other end, of course. I went to Sydney and Melbourne, all those places, and I loved it. I just loved Australia so much. Conspiracy Cracker, hello to you. Farquharian Trousers, hello to you. Some real names in this chat sometimes. There really is. Who else have we got? Millia 10 after 10, hello there. And I'm trying desperately to make sure I mention everybody who's joined, and I think I've got everybody there. So yes, you all know the Sandown Clown is a favourite of mine. Now Raymond is giving us snippets of his Bigfoot encounter The cops did a search. I'm sure I saw something. My Bigfoot encounter, as it came crashing through the forest, didn't give much time to look at it. Naturally, I wouldn't be hanging around, frankly. But separately, they both described it to police, and it looked like a giant ape. The cops believed them. Now, often in a Bigfoot encounter, actually more typically with the rangers, you'll hear that rangers tell people, you didn't see anything, you saw a bear. And if you protest, the rangers will say, no, I'm telling you, you saw a bear. But in this one, the cops believed them, which is, well, excellent, isn't it? They did a huge search, and the look on their faces looked like this wasn't the first time, and they had heard other reports. I often wonder about the role of a police officer or other official in responding to reports of weird stuff, because it happens, isn't it? I mean, even, paramedics, ambulance people, the police, goodness me, firemen, the military, rangers, all of those, professions, because they have a certain official capacity. Is there really a secrecy that they've got to sign up to, etc., etc.? I'll tell you who else sees a lot of stuff as well. Truck drivers. Oh my gosh. And do you know, it is my absolute dream. Maybe somebody can help me figure out how to do this, right? But this show broadcasts on YouTube because that's what I know how to do. I know how to do that. I can broadcast it on YouTube. It's fine, okay? And we're hitting around 90, between sort of 80 to 100 people tuning in, which is not at all bad, by the way. Not bad at all. But I want to reach the truckers. And to do that, I need to get this signal onto, I assume, digital radio. How on earth that works, if there's any geniuses out there who can help me with that, please do. Because I haven't a clue. And as you probably tell from some of my early broadcasts, and my recent video that was just in 240p for some reason. I don't know why that was. I'm not particularly technically minded. If anybody can help with that, I would love to hear it. I have a message here. I've got a short tale of the unknown, something in the night sky. Goodness me, doing what? I won't spoil this. I'll take a call, Eerie, for the team. Bless you. Right. Oh, CB Radio, Tools for Reals. Explain that to me, please. Thank you. Here we go. Let's call this person up.
Hello.
Good evening. You're on Eerie's Vault Live. Thank you for your message. What have you got for us tonight?
Yeah, it's not my first time. I've been on before.
Oh, it's you. Oh, yes,
yeah.
Of course, yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, the story. Well, I mean, there are many things that have happened to me. Where to start, really? But the story that I'd like to talk about is that back in about, what was it? Gosh, 1988. I was 16 at the time, so I'm not a young chappie anymore, unfortunately. But as we
me neither. Yeah.
But I don't know. But ever since I was a youngster, these strange paranormal events seem to follow me through my life. From way back when I was, started about 4 or 5 years old, and I could have sworn that I saw Santa. Obviously not Santa Claus, but
something.
I opened my eyes, there he was. And the next minute, I thought, I pulled the covers over my head and I thought, can't be, I can't see Santa because it won't leave the presents. I could hear him rustling the presents. And I'd actually seen the guy in the red suit and everything.
Hey.
And he was there. And I heard him. And when I finally got the courage to pull the covers back, He'd gone, and the presents were there.
Oh.
And that was just the beginning of it.
Mm.
But to get to the real story that I actually messaged about, oh gosh, I remember one. I thought it was a dream. Okay. I mean, I fell asleep one night. I was about maybe 16, 15, 16, that kind of age.
Yeah.
You know, you got exams going on and whatnot, and all the pressures of all whatnot and stuff like that. But this one night, I remember this vivid, absolutely vivid, real memory of all of a sudden being stood in I lived next to a park, a massive park, which is like a big open fields right on the countryside edge. And I was stood in this field, just stood for no reason, silently looking up, which is strange in itself. But as I looked up, it was so quiet, so silent, but the whole sky was full of coloured lights, like a city of lights, all different colours, like you'd see in a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, back then there weren't really that many films like that. I mean, you got E.T. and stuff like that, and and these kind of things. But what I saw back in 1988 was nothing like you really see back then. You got Hangar 18, was it, and all those kind of things back then. Flight of the Navigator came out around about that time as well. But this was so vivid and I remember looking up and thinking, wow, that is so amazing, and it just floated silently, not a sound at all, just blocked out the whole sky.
Wow.
And all I remember is thinking, I can't see the sky because it was so big, so huge. And there was no one else around, just me stood there. And then I thought, I just passed it off as a dream. I woke up the next day and I thought, that was a really bizarre, vivid dream, but it's always something that stuck with me. So that'll lead on to the next part of the story, which is the main part of it. This must have happened about maybe a year later, or maybe 6 months or a year later. I believe it was around, autumn, October time. So it was pretty dark quite early on. And I'd gone to bed as usual. And all of a sudden, something woke me up. And I was thinking, what's going on? My bed that I was in started rocking backwards and forwards really violently, like really shaking like a washing machine on full spin kind of shake. Backwards and forwards. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And when I came to, the bed was still rocking. And I thought, well, this is definitely not a dream. So I sat up in bed and I could hear this really weird sound, like it was almost like a kind of constant kind of sound. And I thought, it must be a helicopter over the house. It must be really low over the house. And I'm thinking, why would a helicopter be over the house that low?
Yeah.
The whole house was shaking, man. I'm not, this is absolutely a true story. And I thought, what the hell is going on? Like, I started to get really panicky inside. And anyway, I shut up, opened the curtains and opened we had the old metal windows back then with a single pane, a really old fashioned house.
I remember those. Yeah.
And they were like really lock solid with 25 years worth of paint, lost paint. And I managed to get the window open, and I looked outside and it stopped. Everything stopped.
Oh.
Silent. No one around. Absolutely no one outside. Nothing. Absolutely. You could hear a pin drop. And I thought, it must be another. I must be dreaming again. It's got to be another dream. So I thought, sod this, 15, shut the window, close the curtains, got back in bed, fast asleep again in 10 seconds, as teenagers do.
Yeah,
Sleep's more important at that age than anything else. So I thought, I totally, I just didn't think anything more about it. And then the next day, got up, totally forgot about it. I mean, it had gone from my mind. It was almost like it didn't happen. I didn't even remember it as a dream. And which is bizarre in itself. And then I bumped into the neighbour. He had a dog, and it was he was coming out the door walking his dog early morning, and it was Richard, his name, and he went, as soon as he saw me, he went, "What the hell was that last night?"
Oh,
And I looked at him and I went, and the look on his face was absolute sheer horror. And as soon as I saw his face and he said that, my heart sank. You know, when your gut sinks down low.
yeah.
Shit, it wasn't a dream. And I looked and I said to Richard, I said, "Is it? So did you hear that? Did you feel it?" He said, "Did I feel it? I was wide awake. The dog was going absolutely crazy, barking its head off. He couldn't control his own dog. And his dog was one of those pretty kind of placid type of dogs, you know.
Mm.
And it was going crazy and he couldn't console it whatsoever. And it absolutely, I've never seen a guy so scared in his life. It terrified him. We were just stood there in awe trying to explain what it was. And I said, did you look out? And he said, "Yeah, but I couldn't see anything." And so when I looked out, it had stopped and it was just silent. And I said, "Maybe it was a helicopter." And he said, he just kept shaking his head. "It wasn't a helicopter. It wasn't." He just kept shaking his head. I said, "What was it then?" He says, "I do not know what it was." And it really scared me and it scared him. But the fact that if he'd not had mentioned it the next day, I would have totally forgotten about it.
Yeah.
But because he jogged the memory back, and I thought, but no one else heard it in the house. That's what I can't understand.
Yeah, that is weird.
Just me and him next door experienced it, and no one else seemed to notice it. What it was, I don't know. Who knows?
That is very odd. It reminds me, a caller and a viewer, HB's faithful servant, who called up some time ago, who also explained about being woken up by the bed shaking really violently, and a similar thing in the Charterhouse haunting story as well, where
I've heard about that one. Yeah.
the bed being shaken really violently. But in the Charterhouse instance, it was supposedly attributed to a creature. In HB's call, it was just a sensation. Never have I heard it in tandem with this galaxy of light in the sky.
I'm not linking the two incidents together. It could have been a second. It could have been months and months apart. But it was just, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that it is that. All I'm saying, I'm just saying what I remember, what I can recall.
Sure, yeah.
There was something about that incident, the shaking incident, that kind of made me think about that night. It kind of opened that memory as well, if you like, because I've kind of forgotten about that as well. So that incident opened the other memory, and it's to this day. I mean, it's 40, nearly 40 years ago, and I can still remember it like it was yesterday.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Clear as a bell, and something like that you just never ever forget. I mean, and I've got another one actually around about the same time. I had a stepbrother that was older than me, 4 or 5 years older than me, and you know what older brothers are like, always winding you up.
Well, I was the oldest, so yeah, I did the winding up.
So you know all about it. You're the expert. So this one particular morning, and it was all around about the same time, because strange things happened to me all around about that time. I don't know why. Maybe it was, puberty and all those kind of things going on. Maybe it was something to do with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speculate. But this one particular morning, I think it was Saturday morning. It's probably about 9 or 10 o'clock, and I was sleeping in as usual. And my stepbrother came in and started lifting my quilt up and down, come on, time to get up. He didn't speak, but the kind of thing, wafting the quilt up and down, like the Mexican wave, as you do.
Yeah.
Trying to wind me up and get me out of bed. and I woke up and I thought, right, you be. I'm gonna pretend to be asleep and then shoot up and make you jump and get my own back.
Yeah.
So I left it a few seconds, and then I shut up and giving the language and what.
Yeah, like you do. Yeah.
Ready for some, throwing some fists and what have you. No one there. absolutely no one there.
Oh,
I
oh.
ran out. You had no one there.
I was expecting you to say, and then we both saw something. Not that there was nobody there. Gosh.
I swear to God, there was nobody
Oh
there. It
my.
wasn't a dream. I shot up out of bed in my underwear, in my underpants, the old tighty whitey Y fronts
Yeah.
back in those days. I ran screaming downstairs, Mum, Mum, Dad, Mum, no. Everyone laughed at me because I was in my underpants.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't care. I did not care. I said, some things just woke me up in bed, and they just didn't believe me. They thought, they thought I was just winding them up.
Yeah. Oh, who's
So
that?
yeah, true story, all true,
Yeah.
absolutely
And
100% true, as I know it anyway.
isn't it weird, what some people do you think some people are just more open without intending to be more open
Yeah,
to these things?
true. I mean, bizarrely enough, my family were heavily into spiritualism
Oh,
and
okay.
mediumship.
Mm.
They went to medium churches and stuff like that, and it's something that's never really interested me. In fact, I'm more of a scientist, skeptical kind of person.
Oh, right.
And my uncle, well, my uncle was. They weren't married, but his female partner, Auntie Betty, she was quite a famous medium in Sheffield.
Oh.
Betty Allen. You can look her up. I
Hmm.
mean, I think she died years ago. Never really kept in touch. But yeah, she was quite a famous medium, and she once said to me years ago that she said, Mark, when you're ready, you'll know. And I always thought, oh God,
Ready for what exactly? Hmm.
I don't know. And then the funny thing is that about 20 years ago, I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard a voice. No, I'm not schizophrenic, by the way. I heard this voice and it said, it's time. It's time.
Really?
Yeah.
Good
And it
Lord.
was so clear. And it took me back to what Betty Allen said, my auntie, the medium, when
Yeah.
she said,
You'll
you'll know
know.
when it's time. And
Gosh.
this voice said, it's time. I swear
Wow.
to God, it was
Time for
clear as it
what,
was.
one wonders. Time
I
for
don't
what?
know. Time to
Hmm.
party. I don't know. Time to go to work
Yeah,
normally.
well, yeah, usually is, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I got a young family then, so I'd never really
Mm.
had time for those kinds of things. It were all work 6 days a week and
Yeah,
whatnot, and
yeah.
not much time for anything like nonsense like that. So, kind of had a. But even having said that, even when I had young children and houses and blah, as you do, and marriages and whatnot, and
Uh,
these things still followed me. In fact, my ex-wife actually said, "It's you," because I used to say when we split up, "Have the noises calmed down yet?" And she went, "Yeah, they have now. You've gone."
now you've gone. Gosh, yeah,
It's almost like I've opened the door and that's it.
yeah.
Anyone's coming in. You've got, I don't know, aliens, entities,
Well,
ghosts.
yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's once you're open, uh, ha-
I actually phoned. I live in Chesterfield now, but I actually phoned the local mediumship church, a spiritualist church, and spoke to the lady there. And I actually asked her, "Is there a way that you can turn it off rather than
yeah,
encourage it?"
yeah.
Okay, I'll give you one more. This happened in Rotherham. I lived in Rotherham for a while with a partner, and the houses were quite newly built, maybe about 10 years old. Really nice houses. And at the back of the houses there was an old Roman dike, like a drainage ditch.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it. I honestly cannot remember the name, but the reason the reason why I found out about the Roman dike, the ditch, is because I looked up about the history of the place after an incident that I had. Excuse me. So this one night, I was fast asleep and I got this eerie feeling, and I woke up like someone was watching me, and I opened my eyes and there was a black I can only describe it as a hooded kind of Grim Reaper kind of shape.
Good Lord, all right.
It didn't have a sickle or anything like that, or a scythe, or whatever you call them. And it was there at the bottom of the bed, and I was filled with absolute instant terror. I was wide awake, and I'm thinking, afterwards I was thinking, was it sleep paralysis? I could not move. I was totally frozen in bed. And I thought, I mean, if you've ever experienced sleep paralysis, whether it's real or not, it's absolutely goddamn terrifying. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's not the first time it's happened to me. I've had it a couple of times in my life. So I'm looking at this big, dark, Grim Reaper figure, like something off, off the worst horror movie you could ever imagine. But this is real. This is not a movie. This is happening right in front of your eyes. And it's at the end of your bed. It sank down slowly. And it disappeared below the bottom of the bed, and I could see it disappear. Bearing in this mind, I'm fully awake at this moment, but I could not move. And then I felt the bottom of the bed moving, and the covers moving, and the bloody thing was creeping up my legs.
Oh my God, no!
Seriously, I could feel it on my feet, and then on my knees, and up to my thighs, and it was coming right. I couldn't see its face; it was black. Its face was blacked out. It was just like a black shape, basically, and it was creeping right up. It got right up to my chest, and can you imagine the fear? And by this point, it must have been at least 30 seconds awake, and I was fully wide awake. Now, sleep paralysis, you're awake for a couple of 3 seconds at the most, and you're up, and it's gone.
Yeah.
This went on for about at least 30, 40 seconds.
And that's an eternity, isn't it?
God, I was absolutely flipping terrified. I was screaming inside, seriously screaming at the top of my voice, but there's no sound coming out of my mouth.
God.
And then it was just about to get to my face, about maybe, 12-inch away, a foot away from my face. And I managed to scream out with the loudest scream you've ever heard in your life. Right in my partner today. Well, the whole house rolled up, and it disappeared and it vanished. And I got my feeling back, and I got my movement back.
Wow.
Oh my God, I have never had anything so terrifying in all my life.
No,
that is probably the worst one, actually.
And now you've terrified me. I think I might have to start doing this show during the day when it's nice and bright and sunlight outside, I think.
But these absolute gospel truth. I mean, some people say it's sleep paralysis. I've had that before, by the way, and it was nothing like that.
Nothing like it, yeah.
That was something else.
Gosh.
Okay. It was absolutely something else.
It certainly was.
And that's when I looked into what house was built on and the history of where it is. And I found out there's a Roman fort, Roman dike, or maybe some kind of fort as well.
Yeah.
At one point, thousands of years ago.
Deep history.
Whether that has anything to do with it, or what the Grim Reaper relevance is, I don't know. But the flipping thing was terrifying. I'll give you that.
Gosh, well,
and ever since then, I could not sleep in the dark.
I don't blame you.
No, because I need to see what's coming at me.
Good Lord.
I couldn't risk that again.
Now,
and the little light keeps them away, I think.
I think you're right that it does. And funnily enough, funny you should say that. So a little thing that, how do I put this? I think I experienced what they call now the hitchhiker effect many, many years ago, which is something following you and something interacting with you. And
so wherever you move to, it follows you.
Yeah, which sounds similar. And you talk about turning it off. And do you know what switched it off for me? And I don't know why, but it was Reiki. I went to see a Reiki practitioner.
Really?
Now, my very personal thing for me, but somehow I knew I had to do that. And once I had that Reiki session, it stopped.
I don't know much about Reiki. I mean, I'm not a spiritualist. I'm not really. I could be. I could be probably a very, very good one.
It sounds
I just
like it.
don't
Yeah.
I just don't want to be. That's the
Yes.
thing. It's not really just because the door's open for me. Doesn't a lot of people I talk to are jealous,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think, well, you don't. Whatever it is, you do not want it. You know,
Yeah.
don't wish for something that you don't understand, because when you have to live with it, it's not as fun
That's it.
as you
What's
think
the
it is.
saying? Don't be a turkey wishing for Christmas. That's what they say. Don't
That's
they?
a good one. Absolutely, yeah.
Certainly
So we're
do.
talking of lights. I'll give you one last one.
Yeah.
And this happened about a couple of months back. I found out my father died recently, and we were estranged for years, unfortunately. And but so I didn't even know he'd died. But
I see.
yeah, unfortunately. But that's life, isn't it? It sometimes works like that.
That's right. Yeah.
And I was in bed just watching probably your channel on YouTube, actually. I wasn't even asleep, and the bedside light on the other side came on. My partner was still up; she wasn't in bed, and it's one of those touch lamps, you know, where you
Oh
touch them
yeah.
on,
Yeah.
and it's never on. To be honest, we don't really use it. It's only mine that's on all the time. So when I've got my little night light on, we don't really use it anymore because I cannot bear to sleep in the dark.
No, I don't blame you. No.
I need to see what's coming. So yeah, this one particular night, it was not late, about 10 o'clock, watching YouTube, and the light came on, the touch light. I'm like, what the hell? What? And I thought, oh, don't tell me it's packing up. There's a faulty wire or something. Something wrong. So I leant over and touched it, and off it went. And I thought, oh, I'll have to look at that in the morning and make sure it's okay. There's no loose wires or anything, because I've had it years. And it came on again, and I thought, what? No. So I thought, right. I got out of bed. I thought, right, I'm going to investigate, because if it is shorting out, or
it's a fire risk, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I thought I'd rather unplug it and turn it off than risk it, setting the bedroom on fire.
Exactly.
That's the last thing you need, isn't it?
Of course.
So no, I mean, tested it on, off, absolutely fine. Thought, well, it looks fine. There's nothing, nothing crackling, nothing sparkling. Thought, right, turn it off. That'll be fine. So I'm walking back round the corner of the bottom of the bed, and it bloody comes on again. I'm like, what? And I turned around and I actually said, "Are you taking the piss?"
Yeah.
I actually said that because I knew somebody somewhere was trying to communicate, and I'm like, whatever, just leave me light alone. I'm trying to go to sleep.
Trying to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And that was it. I got back in bed, ignored it, and thought, stuck me the proverbial finger up, and
moved on with your life. Yeah. Sounds to me, like you've got a book in you somewhere to be written, and the reluctant. Yeah. What could we call it? The reluctant. Oh gosh, what would a good word be? The reluctant.
Protagonist.
It's not medium, is it, or spiritualist? What would the reluctant spiritualist has a ring to it?
These kind of things always conjure up, TV shows where, is there anyone called James or Jonathan or George
something?
I've got a George coming through. I just don't believe it. It's hogwash. But I'll tell you something. Whether you like it or not, some people have that gift, and some people are genuine. A lot aren't, but some are.
I agree and that's really right. A lot are, and some are not, and that's really something you've got to bear in mind all the time when you're dealing with that side of life. A lot of people are just out to make some money from it.
I mean, it really is like the X-Files factor, I call it. You either got it or you haven't. It's not something you use. It's not something you train for. You can either play the guitar and sing very well, or you can't.
Yeah,
it's one of those kind of things. It's unfortunately, I don't want it. I've never wanted it. And to be honest, I don't bloody like it. It frightens me to death.
Yeah, I can imagine. It would if I saw a Grim Reaper. Yeah, Well, hopefully the batteries in your nightlight are working well tonight. I think I'm going to have to put the landing light on at the very least tonight. We're heading towards the end of the show, so I'm going to thank you for your call so very much. Thanks for all that.
worries. Have a
All
good
right.
night. Thank
Yes.
you, everybody.
You too. Cheerio.
Cheerio. Bye.
Goodness me. Yes. So that's me sleeping with my eyes open tonight in in with the light on outside. And yes, I think we'll start doing this show at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, possibly. To have something crawling up the bed towards my face, no, thank you very much. I would rather not have that. Fleur, hello, I've seen you in the chat there. Oh, goodness me, there's another call. What have we got for the last 5 minutes? Let's find out. Good afternoon, good evening. You're on Eerie's Vault Live.
Hello, Eerie.
Hello, you're with us finally. Welcome.
Hello. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late today. We've had a bit of a difficult week.
Not at all. That's how it goes. Yes, welcome.
I know the gentleman before mentioned sleep paralysis. I do actually have a sleep paralysis story, and it's actually quite a nice ending to it if you want to hear
Okay.
this one.
Yes, let's take that one.
Yeah, well, love a nice one. So this happened, I'd say about 2021. I'd been ill for quite a long time and wasn't sleeping very well, was not eating very well. And I'd been asleep. It was literally the afternoon. I'd gone back to sleep, and it was as though I couldn't open my eyes. I'm like, oh, wait, I can't open my eyes. I'm trying to pull myself out of sleep, and I feel something jump onto the bed. And I didn't have my other dog, and I didn't have Tricket at the time. And something sort of just crawled along the bed or walked along the bed. It was really weird. I could sort of like feel it, but my eyes weren't opening. My body wasn't moving. And I'm desperately going, I can hear it. I can feel it. I can smell whatever this is. Had a really kind of soft smell, like a really kind of softy smell. So as I'm laying there, I can feel whatever it is coming towards me. And it's that close. It was smelling me. It was smelling my face, smelling my hair, smelling the pillow. And I could feel it walking around. It was really weird. It jumped on, I could hear it jump onto the table. It jumped onto, I think it jumped onto the floor at one point and then back onto the bed and then rested beside me. And that's when I think I fell asleep. So in the morning, the late afternoon when I woke up, I shut out of bed and I'm like, what is it beside me? There was nothing. So I'm freaked out at this point going, something's in my house. And I think it's an animal.
It sounds like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
So I rang my mother and I'm like, Mom, I think there's been an animal in the house. I couldn't get, I've described it. She said, you idiot, you've had sleep paralysis.
Is that what she said? Yeah.
Yeah, she said, you idiot, you've had sleep paralysis. What did you have? I said, there was something. She said, you've dreamt that there's an animal in the house. She said, I bet you've dreamt that there was a cat or a dog in the house. The sleep paralysis, I call it now the sleep paralysis cat.
The sleep paralysis cat, yeah.
It was, at the time, it was terrifying because I couldn't get my eyes up and I couldn't move my arms. I could feel like I was trying to, but there was nothing I could do. And all this thing was doing was sniffing at me, and I'm going, go away. Obviously, no mouth sound, come out my mouth, go away.
Yeah.
Go away. At the end, I was looking for whatever this was. I even went in the other rooms thinking, what is this thing? And my mother, again, as my mother would say, bless her soul, she said, you idiot, that's sleep paralysis. And that's where the famous sleep paralysis cat came along. Everybody laughs when I tell them about the sleep paralysis cat.
Well, there you go. A sleep paralysis cat. At least it wasn't something horrible, was it?
it wasn't. To be fair, a few of my family members have had sleep paralysis, and they've described like shadows. They've described what goblin type things. I'm like, I have a sleep paralysis cat.
Well, I prefer that. I think a cat is the better thing to have, most certainly.
It was just the way that my mother said, "You idiot, that's sleep paralysis." At least it's a nice thing to finish you off.
It is, you know. Thank you very much for that. That's a very, very nice one. I can sleep now, you see.
You can sleep now.
That's
you might
right.
have a sleep paralysis cat come and sniff you.
Well,
and lay down beside
I mean, I still hope not, but, you know, it's better than what there might be. So, yes, thank you ever so much, Fleur. I'm glad you could join us tonight.
Problem.
Yes.
I'm glad. And again, I'm so terribly sorry. Last week I wasn't well.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. This is what life is like, Fleur. And to be fair, there's been a couple of weeks where I've said, do you know what? I can't do it this week. So we're all the same. We all understand quite. Well, thank you very much indeed. We're at the top of the hour again. It's time to go.
Time to go. Bye.
Cheerio. Bye.
Everyone. Bye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to people in the UK, in Oldham and Lincolnshire and Sussex and Cannock and Edinburgh and anywhere else you happen to be in the UK that I've seen from the chat, and from the US, from San Diego, from New York, wherever else in the US you might be, and from Perth in Australia. We're all around the world at the moment, and it's wonderful that you're all spending a couple of hours a week with me and each other on this show. Certainly, I am enjoying this more and more as we go. I was never quite sure how it would play out, this show. I thought we might just run out of things to do and say rather quickly, but it seems that the eerie world continues to offer up these little treasures as we go. And I'm quite sure as we grow, we will get more and more interaction happening. Thank you ever so much, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. And as they say in the classics, don't have nightmares.